Just tell me a little bit about you. You're in the marketing position at Supersport Africa, but how did you get in there? Where do you come from?
Okay, I'm the senior marketing manager at Supersport International. I actually
Right.
look after both Africa and South Africa.
Ah, excellent.
So yeah, so it's a nice challenge.
And where you come from?
My background, I started out at South African Breweries, the marketing
Okay.
department there. I then moved to Nike, South Africa, and I've been at Supersport now for 4 years exactly.
And before that even, which region of South Africa do you come from?
Oh, I come from Eastern Cape.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that part of the country.
Sure.
Okay, so Supersport, I mean, is viewed universally, well, at least in the people I talk to, as being one of the sort of ultimate sports, television, bouquets, systems, platforms. I don't want to say channel because it's so many channels.
Sure.
But is that correct? I mean, many people say that you can go to any developed country, part of the world, and the sports there is not nearly as thorough and as well presented as many HD channels, etc., etc. It's pretty world class.
Yes, well, thank you very much for that compliment.
I'm making this easy.
Yes, we know we do pride ourselves in providing the best sports. We are obviously available on the African continent on the DSTV bouquet in 49 countries, as well as some of the adjacent islands. So yes, we do pride ourselves in the best sports.
Because not only, I mean, there's a hell of a big, broad breadth of different sports. I mean, I know some people think motor racing is terrible and rugby is fantastic. Others think, you know, European football is the thing and they're not interested in, you know, late night wheelchair basketball. But I mean, you guys are pretty thorough in terms of owning the rights and broadcasting them, eh?
Well, the thing is, it is about giving people choice. It is about giving different sporting codes for different, firstly for different markets,
Yeah.
and also for different tastes. So as you say, some people may like football a lot and other people like rugby and don't like football and vice versa.
Yeah.
Hence, in South Africa, we've got over 9 channels, but on the rest of the continent, we've got over 16 channels. Some are customized for the local regions.
So just explain that a little bit. So what you're saying is that in a market like Kenya or in a market like Nigeria, the whole thing is just drafted completely differently. You start from the bottom up, look what that particular audience is interested in.
Yes and no. We do have obviously the standard channels,
Yeah.
but then we do customize some of the channels to suit their needs. So for example, for East Africa, well actually for the rest of Africa, we came up with a channel called Supersport 9, which is the home of African football. So where all the leagues that we cover on the African continent go on that channel.
Okay.
So that's the sort of customization we have.
And just give me the background on that, because I know that soccer rights in Africa used to belong to someone else, and then they kind of crashed, and Supersport got most of them. Is that correct?
I think you're talking about the rights to CAF competitions. I think that's a separate discussion.
Okay.
What we have is we've got rights to televise 6 leagues on the African continent,
Right.
in a similar deal to what we have with the PSL here in South Africa.
Right.
So those would be Kenya, the Kenya Premier League, Nigeria Premier League, the Ghana Super League, Zambia, Angola, and then recently, about a month ago, we started showing the Uganda League, the Uganda Super League.
Perfect. And within the broader selling proposition for multi-choices offerings, DSTV and so on, clearly the sport is a core kind of offering, you know, because obviously the company broadcasts all sorts of other channel content like this, CNBC Africa, but that's provided by a separate party.
Sure.
But this is in-house. But I assume therefore that marketing experience has shown that the sport is like a major selling point and it's a key way to hook people to get them in to agree to the subscription-based product.
Yes, 100%. Look, I mean, movies and series and news are also very important.
Yes,
but
true.
sport, as you know, especially with, I mean, you know, here in South Africa, in terms of the passion we have towards our sport, sport does play a very important role. And hence, we've gone out of the way to go and sign up all of those local leagues in those different territories. And it's not only football. Give you an example, in Nigeria, we also broadcast their local basketball league, for example.
Right.
In East Africa, we've got the East Africa cricket that we broadcast. We've got rugby in Uganda. So we also tailor content to what's relevant for the individual markets.
Yeah. Just talk about the different pricing points, because I know that in the context of the past, there was quite a strong emphasis on the sort of premium nature of the channel.
Sure.
But in recent years, there does seem to have been a big effort on part of DSTV to go for cheaper, subsidized decoders. and for limited bouquets of channels in order to try and lower the cost, in order to try and extend the sales, which appears to be quite successful. Eh?
Yes, that's 100%. I mean, we did launch with DSTV Premium, which is the full bouquet with over 80 channels. But we have now customized, we have got different bouquets, cheaper bouquets. So we've got compact, which will have less channels, like 40 odd channels. Then we'll even go down to family. And we even have a bouquet called DSTV Access, which goes for $10 a month, with obviously less channels and less offering. But we're trying to suit everyone's needs and trying to meet suit everyone's pockets.
Okay, shifting again to the other side of the business. I mean, what's happening in the world of kind of sports broadcast rights? Because, I mean, in theory, it's fabulous that you guys go and do all of those hard commercial negotiations with those insufferable guys from all of the sports associations. But isn't there a problem that, given how popular sports are worldwide, that these guys are just putting more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger numbers onto the broadcast rights? And in a tight economic environment, it's not always easy to get the maths to work on that profit-wise.
Well, it is about partnerships. Yes, rights fees are going up, and there is a lot of competition from other broadcasters. But it's also how you work with the partners. So, for example, if I use again the leagues that we have in Africa. So, if I use Kenya, the Kenya Premier League as an example, we went in. We didn't just say we'll buy the rights and we'll show the games. We took it further. Yeah. We have a development program with their administrators, for example. They come down here through Wits Business School. Right. We've got an executive management program. We assist with their website. That's done by DSTV Online. Okay. You know, the same people who do Supersport.com. Okay. We train local crew. So, for example, all games now out of Nigeria Premier League and out of the Kenya Premier League are all done by local crews.
So you don't sort of golden parachute in people to do the broadcast and yank them out again afterwards?
No,
yeah.
so then that helps. That helps with the relationship. And I guess when it comes to next contractual negotiations, we can show that track record that we didn't just come in and say, give us the rights, put them on TV, and then we walk away.
Speaking of that, I mean, Pitso Mosimane was complaining on the weekend about how, you know, doing the sports in Africa is tough. I don't know, maybe he was feeling a bit down. But do you think, I mean, what's your experience of moving around in these countries? I know you travel to these countries quite a lot. Do you get a sense, as many do, that there's ongoing and progressive development? Or is it quite pretty tough in certain of these countries to operate, to create the content, to do the commercial stuff?
No, I think, I mean, a lot of the countries do have these existing leagues, etc., and they do have some of the infrastructure. The challenge that we found is that in some of the countries, the leagues hadn't been on TV for a while. So the difficulty from my side as marketing side, you know, the production guys can come in and practically put their cameras up and film the thing. Yeah. But it's how do you now market it? How do you now build the fans? How do you get the fans back into the stadiums? How do you get interest into those leagues? Yeah. And that's more the challenge from our side, is how do we drive those leagues, how do we elevate them to a point where they become a compelling reason to purchase a decoder? Yeah. And that's, I guess, is the difficulty.
Being able to work out how to, you know, make it a sustainable enterprise so that the flows of money within it are enduring. Okay, one final question is, within the context of your work, I mean, the sports sponsorship market, I see when you have a major event like the Rugby World Cup, you get, you know, everything from Shield right through to the usual, you know, ABSA, Vodacom, everyone else that's usually involved. I mean, is that environment still work well? I mean, it certainly seems that the players are accessible for the ads and all that sort of thing. The advertisers happy with the kind of visual support that they're getting?
Yes, I think as you quite rightly said about Rugby World Cup, we had a whole lot of sponsors that came on board. But even with the local leagues, we're also starting to get people coming onto us now to say, look, now that you're televising this league or you're showing this game, can we come on as a sponsor or a partner? Not just as a broadcast partner on our platform, but also going to sponsor some of the teams and some of the leagues themselves.
Because the teams then know that whatever's emblazoned on the chest is going to get that kind of mileage.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the nice thing, because Supersport is Pan-African, a company that sponsors a team in Uganda
Yeah.
is going to get exposure
Yeah.
across 49 territories.
Right.
So then, their value obviously goes up.
Yeah.
And,
Gotta be good for the game.
which is good
Yeah.
for the game,
Yeah.
which is good for development, etc.
Great. Thanks, Luyanda. You've been fantastic. I'm a massive supporter. I think the premium subscription would be justified even if it wasn't for all these other CNBC Africas, but for the sport alone.
Sure.
So great. Thanks for coming in, and
Sure.
we'll look forward to seeing you again.